Hey, how you doing? This is Adam Post, publisher of more than 1,000 comic books and marketing expert covering Bud Light. Bud Light's collapse is now accelerating. Thousands of layoffs have to be coming. The people who make the beer, because their sales continue to be off anywhere from 30 to 90% nationally. Yes, they've laid off a few hundred people in their marketing and administrative offices, but as their shelf space is decreasing, which we know that it is, we have documentation that their shelf space is going down and their sales have gone down, there will be nowhere to put all this extra beer that they've been making that nobody wants to buy. Let's get into the story. Before we do, please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate you. I'm trying to get to 30,000 subscribers, so if you can subscribe, please do subscribe. Coming from Yahoo Finance, Bud Light sales are still stale. They're not getting any fresher and they're not going up. Bud Light sales are still pressured as the seemingly never-ending controversy surrounding the beer brand continues to brew. Anheuser-Busch InBev's Bud Light sales tanked 26.5% by revenue for the week ending August 5th per the new Nielsen data. That's a faster pace than the week-on-week drop of 25.9% for the period ending June 17th. Bud Light's volumes crashed 29.7%, accelerating from the week earlier's plunge of 29.3%. That volume crash, that is the key number that you want to look at. Yes, revenue is very important to a company. Volume is even more important because if you're not physically making the product, you can't keep the operation going, even at a discount, even at a loss. A disruption of 30% of their volume nationally, of their physical volume, means they can't evenly distribute the way they used to distribute. It's very difficult to profitably manufacture and distribute a physical product. Now we live in the world of digital warehouse drop shipping, virtual infrastructure. Things have changed a lot. Anheuser-Busch is basically in an old kind of business where you have to physically make product, sell it to independent distributors. They have 500 independent distributors, and somehow do that in a profitable way, but not just profitable for you, but also profitable for the people that distribute it, promote it locally, and then for their customers. It's not going to happen as the brand continues to collapse. Quote, recent data continues to show that tracked channels reached a point of stabilization at significantly lower levels for Anheuser-Busch InBev than pre-controversy, Evercore ISI analyst Robert Ottenstein wrote in a note. And these declines were actually something Anheuser-Busch was trying to brag about. They were saying, well, look, yes, there have been declines, but it doesn't seem to be getting worse. It just seems to be consistently terrible. While it's true that you need consistency to then rebuild and figure out how to profitably serve these customers if they can do that, it's still a massively terrible number. So bad that 1,000 people that we know of have now been laid off. 360 of marketing and administrative people from Anheuser-Busch, and also another 645 people from 2 glass bottle plants that had to close. The decline started after transgender influencer Dylan Mulvaney created an Instagram post during the March Madness basketball tournament endorsing the light beer. Following the post on April 1st, Anheuser-Busch InBev saw Bud Light sales trend lower through April. The declines appeared to accelerate following an April 3rd video from musician Kid Rock, who spurred a wider boycott by many on the right and by many who are normal people. To try and stem the sales weaknesses, there were many promotions making the beer either free or 33 cents a can. They did whatever they could to support stores, especially through July 4th. It did not work. Their sales never bounced back. By all indications, that gambit has not paid off. The sales pressure has stretched well into peak summer drinking months, and they've missed the summer drinking period as the uproar has continued to play out on social media and in national headlines. And there are 2 things making matters worse for Anheuser-Busch InBev. First, rival Heineken is actively courting disenchanted Bud Light consumers. What else are they supposed to do? People want to drink beer. A Heineken spokesperson confirmed to Yahoo Finance that it will spend $100 million to market a new light beer called Heineken Silver for consumers. The company plans to give away 2 million free samples this year as part of that initiative. And secondly, The controversy continues to weigh on the rest of the beer giant's portfolio. All of its brands have been affected now. For the week ending August 5th, Michelob Ultra volumes fell by 2.9%. And Busch Light declined by 7.3%. Both were accelerated declines from the prior week. Budweiser volumes fell 14.7% in the latest measurement week. Shares of Anheuser-Busch InBev have fallen 4% in the past 6 months as the sales declines persist. In the meantime, the Standard & Poor's 500 has advanced 8%. Quote, "We assume no recovery in Bud Light this year," RBC Capital Markets analyst James Jones said in a note. So the investors, the analysts, they know Bud Light has damaged itself and Anheuser-Busch is not going to be able to bounce back in 2023. Are they going to bounce back in 2024? No, they can't, because they're not even going to have shelf space to do it anymore. We know from the Molson Coors CEO, who further confirmed recent suspicions that former Anheuser-Busch sales chief Anson Fredericks has been putting out since the beginning of June, that beer retailers are moving forward with their shelf space resets from the spring to the fall, allocating fewer square feet to display Bud Light beer. Why would they do that? Why wouldn't they display more Bud Light beer? Well, they can't do that because the beer doesn't sell. And if you own a store, it doesn't matter. Even if you get the merchandise for free, if it doesn't sell, you can't stay in business and you can't make money. They put up with this nonsense. All these stores, they help with promotions. They tried to help sell Bud Light beer. They tried to help sell all the rest of the Anheuser-Busch brands to the extent that they could, but they just couldn't. So many stores are cutting back on their shelf space, and this is going to unfortunately affect thousands of more employees who work for Anheuser-Busch. Coming from Yahoo Finance, former Anheuser-Busch executive warns thousands of more employees will be laid off amid the Bud Light sales slump. As hundreds of Anheuser-Busch employees pack up their desks due to a company-wide layoff, one former executive of the company warned that more job losses may be coming. Quote, "My vantage point is that they're going to have to find somebody new," former president of operations Anson Fredericks said on Cavuto Coast to Coast. "Otherwise, you've seen hundreds of people laid off, Anheuser-Busch, hundreds of people laid off at some of their suppliers, their glass suppliers, and unfortunately," he cautioned, "thousands of more people laid off if you don't find somebody who can come in and you can get this brand stabilized." Unfortunately, the brand is stabilized now, and it's stabilized at a minimum 30% less volume nationally. There's no way that they can have 19,000 employees supporting a 30% reduction in Bud Light. And it's not just Bud Light. It also has affected their other brands. It's a complete disaster for the company. Anheuser-Busch InBev reported a steep drop in profits amid the ongoing boycott against Bud Light, but the company insists U.S. consumers still have a generally favorable view of the beer brand. The company announced that its U.S. revenue dropped 10.5% in the second quarter, while its earnings before taxes and interest and depreciation fell 28.2%. The second quarter covered April through the end of June and offers the first look at the damage caused by the Bud Light boycott, which began in April after the brew partnered with transgender influencer Dylan Mulvaney. Quote, "Right now, they say they've only laid off about 2% of their staff, yet you've seen their sales down over 15%. Their volumes down over 15%. That's all brands that they have. All the brands, not just Bud Light. Yes, Bud Light is at least 30%, but it's 15% on average for all of their volume, all of their brands in North America," Fredericks pointed out. So there's obviously a mismatch there. At some point, there's going to have to be more people that go if they don't find somebody new to turn this thing around. Fredericks doubled down on this assertion made on Varney and Company last week that current Anheuser-Busch CEO Brendan Whitworth should have been laid off in place of the 360 or so rank and file employees. Quote, "It's the CEO that is accountable to the shareholders of the business," the former executive said. "This should have been a breakout year and a breakout quarter for the company," meaning it should have been a very successful year and very successful financial year. Yet in this quarter, you saw the U.S. business down 30% in terms of its earnings year over year. Earnings plunged in the U.S., and that took the global company to only up 5% year over year. So obviously we need to find somebody in the US that can turn this business around, get these loyal Bud Light customers back, he added. Realistically though, I don't think anyone really believes that the business is going to come back for Bud Light. Everyone does sort of see it stabilizing at down 30% nationally at least, and then reductions in shelf space will cause the brands to even lose additional money. Even if they don't lose any existing customers, they're just not going to have the same exposure they used to have, such as when Bud Light became the fourth most popular beer in bars. And then as we've seen, there are plenty of bars that'll have like 3 taps available. And when you're number 4 on a list of only 3 taps available, you're removed completely from the sales volume. Let me know what you think of all this in the comments below. Always love to see your ideas. Please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications, give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you again soon with another video. And if I don't see you, I will miss you.